back to Salmon's Pizzeria. It's time for another roundup of the Championship Penitentiary. I have been away on holiday this weekend. I have been recharged and I am ready to talk about yet more disappointment when it comes to the results this weekend. Joining me in not being disappointed with results, we have Kieran Ashton. How are you, Kieran?
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Callum, when you said not being disappointed. Absolutely ecstatic with Bristol's result over Queen's Park on Saturday. Aye, really good to get back to winning ways after a disappointing loss away and really performance as well that came with a loss away in Kirkcaldy last week. Great to bounce back, but nonetheless, even if we lost or drew, I probably would have still been on this podcast regardless. So, I absolutely delighted to be back on.
It's definitely an interesting weekend of championship results, and we start off with Friday Frights under the lights. Halloween night saw a battle for the vacant Celtic job as Scott Brown's Ayr United were at home to Neil Lennon's Dunfermline Athletic. Ayr last week came off a very disappointing draw with Queen's Park, where that one finished 0-0. Dunfermline, meanwhile, lost 3-2 away at Ross County. First big chance of this game was definitely for Ayr. Mark McKenzie being played one on one and managing to hit the post. Then Dunfermline would have their own chance with Chiloko Mullen doing a fantastic job running through the air defence. A quick 1-2 played to him. He was through on goal. He squares it to Andrew Todd, who puts it in the back of the net. But he's offside, so it does not count. After a couple more chances for both sides, short corner would see a cross played into the box and it would hit the head of Barney Stewart. He would give the Falkirk Loney would give Dunfermline the lead just before half time. Second half would see another 1-on-1 for Ayr, this time Walker through, but it was saved. And I cannot believe I'm saying this in the year 2025 by Denny's Mehmet. What is he doing in the championship again? I don't remember the last time he played a game for Dunfermline. I swear, it's like they're just trying to think. Last year they had Oluwayemi in on loan from Celtic, and then this season they played two other goalkeepers, and now they're down to Denny's Mehmet. Um, that probably says something about the goalkeepers that they brought in. And maybe they're injured. I don't know, but it's like there's got to be a concern there. It's like we've seen Denny's Mehmet enough times to know he is not championship quality. Um, but then, despite many more chances for Ayr, including Curtis Main again being through 1-on-1 and then managing to get the ball past the goalkeeper, but he's dinged it with like fuck all power, so it was very easily cleared. Um, Dunfermline hold on to a 1-0 win, and that result temporarily put them up into third somehow. I couldn't believe it when like the commentator said. I had to like double check, and I'd just be like, "What? How's that happened?" But yeah, this really worrying result for Aries one, just in the manner of how it came about, just because of the it's like I've mentioned their three 1-on-1s that they had and they've not converted, and it's like you're playing against Denise Mehmet. Your previous game was a 0-0 against Queens Park. You were it's like Queens Park had 10 men for 80 minutes. Like that's a concerning run of games to go goalless back to back.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, Meanwhile, Neil Lennon gets a win over Scott Brown. Take him, Celtic. You know what you need to do. Take him.
Oh, he wasn't hanging about in the showers last time to get the job. Um, but I know it seemed pretty much Dunfermline in the first half. Ayr hit the post, as you said, with a 1-on-1 in the first half before Dunfermline would have the ball in the back of the net twice. Obviously, one of them was Andrew Todd's effort. It was obviously called offside, but I think the pressure Dunfermline kind of had in the first half paid off pretty much when they took the lead, and they kind of deserved it. Obviously, they could have had more with a disallowed goal. But as well as that, that's Barney Stewart now in a good bit of form. Is that not 5 goals in 5 games for him or something like that? Um,
He's definitely got.
I think I've seen that on Twitter. But I think it was a case of Ayr not taking their chances. And again, looking pretty toothless up front when you look at the quality they've got up front with Dowds and Curtis Main and whatnot. They're firing blanks, but that's them firing blanks now in 2 games. One of them, as you said, being one being a man ahead, having a man advantage against Queen's Park for 80 minutes and not being able to score. That's really concerning. But obviously with the chances that they had in the second half in this game as well, and they couldn't take their chances, couldn't finish their dinner pretty much. And I thought it was a pretty good defensive performance for Dunfermline. I thought, although you pretty much drive-by shot Dennis Mehmet there, Callum. There was a lot of Dunfermline fans praising his performance on Friday night. I thought he, looking at the highlights, did make a couple of good saves for what I've seen. And that's a clean sheet for him, so that's good enough. Whether you want to say he's championship quality or not, it's another thing. I think we have seen, shades of him being really bad in this league, but that's a really good performance for him and his defence, and pretty much as you said, it took him to third place. I think I checked the highlight. I was out, so I never watched the game on Friday night. But I was looking at Twitter and all that kind of stuff, and then looked. I was like, where does that put them? And I thought it put them like fifth or something. No, they ended up third Friday night, and they're like, what? That was after show I showed my friend who's also a Thistle fan, and we were a bit like, what the fuck? Where have they came from? You know what I mean? How they got that far ahead? But I listen. I think we were saying this last week too about. I think Dunfermline's thing has been consistent. That's been the difference for years of them finishing in the playoff spots, and just finishing mid-table. Last year as well, they were pretty close to being dragged. Well, they were dragged into the dog fight down at the end of the bottom. Obviously, they managed to stay safe, but again, that's the difference between them. Actually properly challenging for the playoffs and being in the playoff spots, and looking at a fight at the other end of the table. Near the relegation spots and whatnot, but they would like to think now they need that's a good win, but they need to keep it up and they need to keep going. But really good result for Dunfermline on the road away to Ayr. And the pressure certainly looks like it's right back on Scott Brown again. Maybe he's on a sugar peg. We don't know. But not a lot of Ayr fans certainly not happy with the results, and there was quite a few shouts for him, kind of calling for his head after the result on Friday night.
It's like moving on. It's like saying about Dunfermline's inconsistency. Looking at the results for October, it starts off with a 0-0 draw against Queen's Park, and then back-to-back wins against Raith and Airdrie. Then a loss to Ross County, and then they beat Ayr. And it's like beating Airdrie expected, but it's like drawing with Queen's Park, losing to Ross County. They're not great results, but then beating Ayr and Raith are excellent results for them. It's like they've got St Johnstone next, which let's face it, don't have much hope for. And then afterwards was meant to be Partick Thistle, but that's been called off now for it's got international call-ups. But it's like It's like after St Johnstone, it's Morton, then Thistle away midweek, and then Queen herself in the Scottish Cup. So yeah, it's like with St Johnstone, I don't expect anything from them, but it's like Morton and then Thistle is an interesting run of fixtures, and it's a case of with the Morton, but then beating Thistle somehow.
Yeah.
That's what will happen. It's just a very strange. They continue to be a strange club, but as you say about Scott Brown, yeah, this is. It's like we said. I think I said last week about how it's like they're third, but they're not playing like a team that's a third best in the league. And it's like the way the table is starting to shape out is, we're starting to get globs, and
Yeah.
it's not like they're in a top three glob; they're in a very upper mid-table glob. Uh, is yeah, I don't blame their fans for not being happy with Scott Brown just with the way the season's, especially if it started, and then it's like they went on a nice run, and it's back to being like that start again, where it just
Mm-hmm.
seems incapable of scoring. They're very blunt up front.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on then to the Glasgow Derby, the big one from the weekend. We'll just ignore the thing that happened. No one cares about that. It was high flying Partick Thistle who were looking to bounce back from a disgraceful performance at Starks Park. Um, and then Queen's Park, meanwhile, coming off of back to back 0-0 draws. Kieran, you enjoyed this one, didn't you?
I did, certainly. I mean, I wouldn't say last week, first of all, in Wraith, I wouldn't say it was disgraceful, so to speak. I think it was just a bad day at the office, and you're going to get them at this,
Especially in
in this
Kilkenny.
league. Yeah, aye. Yeah, you're going to get them at this, in this league. You're going to get good days and bad days. It's a mental league. Everybody beats everybody in this league. Can take points off everybody in this week. But that was last week. We'll talk about this week, and aye, pretty much complete domination for us this game. We took the lead in the 16th minute. We had really well worked free kick, you could say. Fitzpatrick passed it to Stanley on the edge of the box, and he laid it off. To Fitzpatrick passed it to Stanley, sorry, in the edge of the box, and then he laid it off to Paddy Redden, who slammed it home to about, I think it was about 20 yards, you would say, just outside the box, just at the edge of the D at the exit, outside of the box, and it was just a pretty much a training ground, a goal just completely off the training ground. It was brilliant, and I thought that was a screamer of a goal, and I thought that was probably going to be the best goal we'd have seen all day. And then Ben Stanley said to Paddy Redden, "Hold my beer," and scored a goal for about 25 yards right over the top of Callum Ferry, right into called it right over him, and it was a brilliant game, brilliant goal. Sorry, absolutely fantastic. Similar to his goal against there midweek in the Tuesday night game, but ultimately I would say a lot better. And also, just before I go on to talk about the rest of the goals in the games and whatever, the rest of the goals, sorry, I just want to kind of wish a speedy recovery to Charlie Fox. He looked like he picked up a real bad injury in the game. I don't think it's as bad as what it looked, but it looked like he was in a lot of discomfort. Obviously, someone getting stretchered off in a
I
game
think it
you
came out
don't.
as a dislocated knee.
Yeah, I dislocated knee. And people in the
So he'll
Jack
be out
Husband
for
stand
a
were
couple of weeks.
saying you could hear him like screaming in pain. That was really that bad, and he was still in the medic room waiting for an ambulance. I don't think he got one till like 1 in the morning, which
No, no,
is
no, no. That was a different game, but yeah, it's like it
yeah,
was something like 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. that an
yeah,
ambulance finally arrived, and then someone elsewhere had to wait until like 1 o'clock
yeah.
in the morning, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Must be in the morning, but it's like that is mental to
Hmm.
think about. I
Aye.
think we had this issue with a Thistle women's game. I want to
Yeah,
say
that was
where
a
it
head
was
knock.
just
She picked up.
forever to get an ambulance.
Yeah.
It's something that really shouldn't be happening.
No,
It's
absolutely
like
not.
Reef always have an ambulance at the ground, but the thing is, it's what they called St John's. It's St John's
Yeah.
ambulance, so a private one,
Yeah.
and it's something that not every club's going to be able to have.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not one to I don't want to blame like
Hmm.
the NHS or whatever because it's like budget constraints and whatnot, but it is really concerning that
Aye.
people have had to wait that long.
Yeah, I think the one with if it's a woman's one that was a lot more serious. That was I think it was a concussion the girl had, and um, that wasn't good at all. I remember I think that happened last season. I Brian Graham wasn't really happy with that after his post match performance that day. But speedy recovery. Hope he kind of gets back. Obviously, he's just back for is it an 18-month injury? Charlie Fox is just
I think so.
he's just back for a really serious injury, and obviously seeing someone getting stretchered off is not what you want to see. It's not a good sight at all. So hopefully he gets back sooner rather than later. But back to our but back to the game itself. Obviously, then after that, we scored in the 40. I think it was the 45th plus 11th minute because of the game added on because of the waiting to get the stretcher and all that for Fox. But Stanley, absolute beautiful goal as I mentioned. Called it just over Berry from about 25 yards out, and it was brilliant heading into the break 2-0, 2 goals to the good, and then second half came and it could have been a lot more. It could have probably been about 4 or 5 before we scored our third. Samuel hit the crossbar with a header, so did Turner as well. We also forced a good save from um, Ferry. He made a good save. But then we were 2-0 down, and Queen's Park did have a couple of chances. They did have two chances in particular from McConnell, or from McDonald, sorry, not McConnell. He forced Clark into a good save, and then he hit the bar from round about the same range. I think it was about from 20 yards or something like that. But other than that, it was just all us. Complete domination. We would then go on and get a third on the 74th minute. It was a really good passing move from Smith, and Sosa was involved in that as well. He ended up getting the assist, squared it through to Chalmers, who um, gave us a third goal, and then 4 minutes later, Sosa then tapped home the fourth, who then it was from a Chalmers cross, so Sosa assisted Chalmers for the third, and Chalmers assisted Sosa for the third, and then just right at the end of the game, Macbeth would head home our fifth goal to make it 5-0, and just right at the end of the game, I think literally seconds after that, the referee blows for full time, and he was like, right, no, that's enough. Just he's stop it. He's already dead, kind of thing, But Stephen Lawless got an assist as well, which was really good to see. Got the assist for the fifth goal, but it was. I generally thought I don't think we were like perfect on Saturday, but it was a complete performance, and it could have been a lot more. As I said, we just never let them breathe, never let them get into the game. Really, apart from when we were 2-0 down, we had a couple of chances, but that was hot shots for the edge of the box. I managed to keep Fowler quiet as well. I think that kind of helped us as well. We managed to keep him kind of quiet. He did look all right, but we limited him. Um, but I think a win like that, as I was saying to you and Monty's, like we are due scalping a team. We are due giving a team a real good hiding. We just, I don't I think it was a case of not finishing them, not taking their chances when they came, or whatnot. But I won that was coming, and I'm glad it came like that. Especially after our loss to Eighth last week, and Start Spark. But I thought Queen's Park were really poor on Saturday as well, but taking nothing away from our performance. I thought were fantastic. Gives us a bit of breathing space in third, in third place. But but I think we're just taking it week by week, and then come the St Johnstone game, we played them on the 22nd, I think, in November. Could be a really really big game. We win on Friday night away to Airdrie. That could take us joint top. Just for the day, or just for the time being. I think St Johnstone will probably beat Dunfermline, so whether we're joint top for long, we'll need to wait and see how the weekend goes. But nonetheless, fantastic performance.
I was just going to say about that 6 point gap, just with the way, I think third now is Arbroath on 21 points, and then there's three teams on 18, whereas you guys, so on 27, St Johnstone on 30. Um, Feeling confident about a top two finish?
At the moment, yeah. But listen, we need to keep it up. We need to be consistent. We can't, lose away to Wraith and then, bit of performance like this and then drop points to Airdrie next week. We need to keep it going. It was a statement win, I thought, last week as well. No, not last week, sorry, on Saturday. I thought it was a statement win. If we're playing at this, I think we should just kind of, for us, it's more, we don't want to try and get carried away because we've done that so many times in the past couple of seasons and it's ended up, you know, falling back, biting us back in the arse. So, um, I think for us, just kind of keep picking up these wins, and then see where we land. But right now, yeah, we just need to put pressure on St Johnstone, let them have the headlines and the plaudits and all that kind of stuff. We fall under the radar. I think that kind of suits us best rather than us being favourites for the league or whatever. But absolutely. I would have bit your hand off for a start. I think you would have bit both hands and your feet off for the start to this season. But it's really good so far, and hopefully it continues.
And then just a little bit on Queen's Park, and it's looking very, very bad for them. I think they might be worse than Airdrie.
I thought they were, but I
I
don't know if
think
that's
they're finishing
just.
bottom.
I don't know. I mean, obviously we'll see Airdrie on Friday night, but I think Airdrie tend to turn up against us. Obviously we end up kind of beating them or whatever. They've not. I think they've beaten us twice or something like that in the last 5 years, I want to say. And that's with us playing each other in League One and that as well. The last 5 seasons, I think they've beaten us. I think they've only beaten us twice. But I thought they looked all right on the game we played them in August. I think they gave us a good game, and I thought we robbed them quite personally. When we beat them, but yeah, that I think going by that shown by Queens Park on Saturday, I think Queens Park have looked a lot worse than Airdrie again. Um, I would be better if Enzo was come on to kind of counter point that, maybe counter argue that. I don't know if he would after seeing that, if he was there on Saturday and seeing that performance. Um, but yeah, I do worry. If I was a Queens Park fan, then I'd be really, really worried at the moment. Obviously, it hasn't helped with him having injuries and whatnot, but I it's still not good at all.
It's like I believe this is Josh Fowler's first game since returning from injury. I don't think he was involved in the squad against Ayr, but it's like looking at their last six, they've only scored once, and that was in a 4-1 defeat to Arbroath. They've got a 1-0 loss at home to Thistle, 0-0 draw against Dunfermline, 4-1 loss, as mentioned, away at Arbroath, 0-0 draw against Airdrie, 0-0 draw against Queen's Park, and now a 5-0 loss against Thistle. So it's a very concerning run that. And it's like you look at their next few fixtures, they've got Reef at home, which anything could happen. This is Reef we're
Yeah,
talking about now. Now I've just said that. Oh, I think Queen's Park are the worst team in the league right now. They're going to win now. It's
Yeah.
happening. But then after that, St Johnstone away. The way St Johnstone have been playing these last two games, that 5-0 might happen again. Ross County at home, and then, I mean, they've got Linlithgow at home and not at home, away in the Scottish Cup, which can go one of two ways: boost from like a comfortable 2-0, 3-0 win, something like that, or there's a very real chance of a shock
Yeah,
coming
I
here.
can see it being a potential banana skin game. For them and listen, it's a cup. Anything can happen. But um, I really worry for Queens Park. I think last week they got a really good result at home to Ayr, and they would like to kick on. But I think they from then I think they kind of played us at the wrong time. It's probably the worst fixture they could get playing us.
An
Um,
angry Partick Thistle.
yeah, yeah. The Rafe juggernaut angered us last week, but I think I don't know who that they would have probably preferred to play. Probably an Airdrie or a maybe even a Rafe, maybe a county or whatever. But I think they couldn't have got us at a worse time, and um, obviously they would have liked to kicked on after that pretty good performance, or pretty good, I would say, defensive performance, pretty good result against there. With a draw and being being a man behind as well. But they were pretty poor. Queens Park, and I would worry. I would certainly be worried about them, especially if you're a Queens Park fan.
And moving on to the other relegation threatened team, we have Edge to St Johnstone. St Johnstone coming off a rather resounding win away at Greenock Morton. But Airdrie, meanwhile, were coming off their first win of the season, which came against Arbroath. But after a few half chances for each side, probably the best of which, funny enough, came for Airdrie with Chris Mocktrey being through 1-1 and just completely slicing it. Like, he just dragged it so far wide. It was it was bad. Adam Sidibe would manage to open the scoring after 25 minutes, and it's a very good goal from a personal perspective because he gets fouled in no man's land. Like he's in the midfield. It's in the transition period. He's on the ball. He's just past the halfway line. He gets bundled over. Referee blows for a free kick, but Sidibe takes it quickly. He sends it out wide. It goes to whoever the St Johnson right back is, and you just watch Sidibe, and he just bolts it into that box. Ball comes flying in. There's another striker there, but Sidibe rises up over everyone and manages to head it in. And watching it, it is so satisfying to see. To see a player do that, it's a very, very good goal to score. And it's like from that point on, it was all St Johnstone. It's like if Chris Muckery scores that 1-1, it could be a very different game. But it's like from that point, it was just all Saints. Second half would start with Sadiq. He played through ball to Jamie Gowan, who then, whilst 1-1, pretty much manages to switch it back across to Sadibe to slot it home into an empty net. And then 20 minutes later, a few passes are made, starting from the goalkeeper, and it just works its way up the left wing. Nice long drill pass through, ends up flicked onto Sidibe, who first time slots it home, 3-0 hat trick. Excellent performance from him. Yeah, this was yet another very impressive win from St Johnstone. Are we looking at the same juggernaut that we saw to start off the season?
Well, they're only 3 points. They're only 3 points ahead, so it wouldn't be it's exactly runaway as it was at the start of the season. Um, but yeah, I'll probably have a better judgment. Obviously, I've seen St Johnstone obviously when they battled us in the opening game, but I think I'd have a better judgment of it once we play them on the 22nd in a few weeks' time. I think it is now. We played them at Firhill, but um, they've certainly seemed to have definitely bounced back for their when they were starting to kind of wobble a wee bit when they drew away to who did they draw to again? I'm not entirely sure, but I know they get beat.
I think it was Ayr. I think it was two home nil-nils. Ayr against
Yeah,
and then Ross and
County
then
and
they
Ayr,
lost away at
Arbroath.
Arbroath in
Yeah,
fairly
Arbroath.
convincing fashion.
Yeah. So like they were starting to wobble, and even then, I think their runs were a bit like the Dunfermline game as well on the game Friday night. Dunfermline ran them close. They were starting to kind of wobble a wee bit. Um, and they've bounced back for that. They've bounced back for that massively. They scored 4 goals in 35 minutes against Morton. They go 4-0 up at Capel last week, the week before. Um, and then I don't think really they had to go out of third gear on on Saturday. Going by the highlights and certainly on Twitter and stuff like that, I've seen a few St Johnstone fans can I say that? But and I thought Airdrie started all right. I thought they started a better team early doors with I think they had two chances, two one-on-ones. The one with Mockray as well, right there. He's got to like you've got to score that. You know what I mean? Because teams like St Johnstone will punish you if you don't take your chances, and they did. And the fairly routine win despite a kind of early scare, you could say for St Johnstone, but a good one for them. Pretty much just a probably 3 points and up the road kind of performance, but it was fairly routine in the end, and that's a CDB hat trick as well, I'm sure. I think I've seen a lot of St Johnstone fans pleased with that and pleased with his performance as well. But definitely bouncing back after bouncing back after a wall after the wobble like last month.
But it's like these last two very much feel like that St Johnstone that we saw previously, where they were just swatting teams away effortlessly, and it's like at that point we were just looking at them and just like, oh god, they're going to mob this league, aren't they? And of course, it's like that last month it was getting a bit wobbly, getting a bit shaky, and it's like with that defeat to Arbroath, you're thinking, oh, hold on a minute, it's not going to be as easy as you thought it would be. These last two performances, granted they're against teams at the bottom end, have been very, very good. It's back to what Saints fans would have been expecting, and definitely what a lot of us neutrals would have been expecting, to be
Yeah.
honest. From an Airdrie perspective, as mentioned, it's like you had those two chances, especially Chris Murphy's. It's like you're saying you got to score. It's like at a minimum he has to either like hit the target or like force something from the goalkeeper. But it's like he's taking it terribly. It is not good how he's taking it. But yeah, it's like with this game, it's like you still don't have a manager, and you're facing a team top of the league. It's not really anything to worry about or complain about or that whole sort of thing. It's just basically a free hit
Yeah.
with this one for them. So we'll dwell on it too much for them. Moving on now to Arbroath against Ross County. Arbroath last week were defeated by Airdrie, so we're looking to bounce back from that incident. County, meanwhile, managed to get a win at home against Dunfermline, so this was a case of looking to build on that. They weren't able to build on it, however, because we seem to revert to the Ross County of old, where just 8 minutes in, Harry Cochrane would pick up the ball unmarked, about 25 yards out, and would just manages to hit it into the bottom corner, just over a wall of defenders and into the bottom corner. Really nice strike. Just goalkeeper planted to his spot. Very aesthetically pleasing. Few chances for both teams in the first half. Nothing really standing out. So half time 1-0 to the home side. 56 minutes in though, and when I say Ross County of old, this is what I mean. Right back just sort of is just dawdling on the ball and just gets dispossessed by Jacob McIntyre. He manages to run down the wing, cut inside, and then manages to slot into the bottom left corner, near post. It's excellent work from him. It's very much what we've come to expect from Arbroath. The very well organised pressing team from how it looked from that game, especially. It's didn't really let Ross County have many real chances. They were very quick to get on people. And then 77 minutes in, just a classic counter-attack goal from Arbroath. Ball played over the top. It's Taylor Steven played through. It's just him and the goalkeeper. And unlike the myriad of other one-on-ones that we talked about in this podcast, this one goes in. This, again, back into the bottom left corner. Very calm finish. And yeah, another very impressive result for Arbroath with a 3-0 win. After 13 games, I went back and checked this. They are now 5 points off of their total from their previous campaign in this competition. With how it's going, I think it's fair to say that these lot are playoff contenders.
Oh, aye, for sure, definitely. Obviously, they lost to Airdrie last week, and they were obviously like that. Maybe you could have thought that this is the start of our, downward slope, and I think we kind of mentioned that last week. This could be the start of their kind of downward trajectory. No, they've just went and beaten supposed promotion contenders again. And fantastic result, and I think they are. I generally think they are. I think as well, making the point there, I think County are now, I think they're far too inconsistent in this league that they've started, and the start that they've had. I think it could potentially cost them finishing in the playoffs. I think they've, whenever I've kind of seen them, especially when I've when we've played them, I've not been really impressed. I thought the game at Forhill, they were a lot more defensively sound, and they had a couple of chances here and there, but other than that, I've not been really impressed by them at all. And I think Arbroath have been helped by the kind of slow start that County have had, and the slow start Sale have had as well. But you can only beat what's in front of you, and Arbroath have certainly done that. They've picked up points here and there. They probably, for the game at Farhill, could have beat us as well. They were probably the better team for like the last 20 minutes of that game or something like that. When they got the equaliser, I thought they could have nicked it. But definitely, I think they are. I think they're in the mix. They've got to be in. They've got to be. They're in the places for a reason. They're in third place for a reason. They haven't just fell in on accident. Their performances and the results have warranted that. Other than their pumping off Dunfermline, the 5-0 game, I think other than that, they've looked pretty good. I think they've looked pretty decent, and well, more than decent. I think they're definitely, probably punching above their weight, you could say. But listen, they're there on merit at the moment, and good on them. I don't think Arbroath fans would have expected them to be in third place this far in. I thought they probably would have thought they were challenging down the bottom end of the table, but they're far off that, and good on them for doing that.
It's definitely very impressive what they've done. I've just realised I got it wrong. They're not 5 points, they're 2 points. They're 2 points off of their total from last time round. They only managed 23 points in 36 games 2 seasons ago when they got relegated. So A very big improvement on that campaign. Let's just put it lightly. Ross County, uh, looking like the Ross County we saw at the start of the season with the defensive errors and whatnot. They're not getting promoted, are they? I'm really doubting if they'll even make the playoffs. I know Enzo said when it was all a bit tighter, it's like Ross County can still come back from this. No, they're eighth and they are 7 points off of the promotion playoffs right now. They have the second worst defense in the league. Only Airdrie have one worse than them. This is not good.
No, it's not good at all, especially the amount of money they're throwing about. Counting the amount of investment they've put into getting back up, and I don't know if it's a case of their team not gelling. You could say that, but you would like to that's probably. I mean, you don't really get that excuse anyway when you're a team just back down for the top flight, especially the amount of times they were in the top flight too. I it's not looking good at all. And you thought, when they picked up their run against Dunfermline last week, that this is it, they can start to kick on, and they've lost again, in pretty convincing fashion. You could say it was a fairly routine, comfortable win for Arbroath. They limited Ross County to very little chances. I don't think County laid a glove on them on Saturday either. Um, and particularly the second half, they didn't at all. And yeah, it's not good at all. And maybe you'd have thought, being just outside the playoffs, it is a tough division, but being eighth, 7 points behind the playoff spots, yeah, it's not looking good at all. Aye, it's not what you'd have thought. You would have thought County and St Johnstone would have been up the other end, contending for the title, and it's been the complete opposite. It's aye, not good at all.
It's like they look more like relegation contenders than they do promotion contenders, and I'm just thinking to myself, when I don't think I'm trying to think of who would be the last team that got relegated back to back from the Premiership. Aki's got relegated. It's like they got relegated from the Premiership, stayed a season, and then got
Yeah.
relegated. So it's not them. I'm starting to wonder if it might be. Trying to think, possibly. Oh God, did Livingston? Oh, did Livingston in 2000s go like back to back? I think they. Oh, did no? I think they just got straight up demoted because of financial issues. I don't think anyone has been relegated back to back from the Premiership to League One. That
No,
I
I'm
can think
I'm
of.
trying to think for even us. I think we've been close to it on a few occasions. I know when we got relegated from the top flight. I think 17-18 we got relegated. 18-19 we were among we were in the dogfight for the relegation, but we managed to stay up on the final day, and then we get relegated to League One. Demoted to League One in 1920, the 1920 season. I'm trying to think. I was going to say the late, the late 90s we done it, but I don't think we did. Try to think. I don't. I've not got a clue. I'm trying to rack my brains, and it's not coming to me.
No, I'm one. I mean, I don't think it will happen just purely because it's like we talked about Queens Park and we talked about Airdrie enough times about how it's like them two are the bottom two, but it's like it's looking really bad for them. But then there's also this other half where it's a case of the longer this goes on, the more terrified I am for Ross County's transfer window in
Yeah.
January. They basically just bring in like a whole new squad of pure, just like Premiership loanees,
Mhm.
just an entire army of them, just marching north into the Highlands to try and scrape into the playoffs, the
Yeah.
promotion playoffs, because that seems to be like their only way of um, getting there, because it's just not working. It's and it does make you wonder with the timing of Don Cowie's sacking, because he was
Yeah.
sacked after what 3 or 4 games. He was sacked basically at the end of August, and that's not going to give time for Tony Docherty and Callum Davidson and all that to get something that works for them. Granted, the loan market was still open, and they made like 3 loan signings on the same day, like a couple of days before they were meant to play us. But it's like even then, they have a squad of like 29 players or something daft like that. And you look at the list, and it's definitely it's very football manager esque, this squad, where it's like 3 agents sought by reputation, bring them in. And it's players who have plenty of Premiership experience, but are maybe a bit past it, and it's like, oh, that will help me in the Championship, and it's really, really not. It's they've done the opposite of what St Johnstone have done. St Johnstone bulked up their squad,
Yeah.
but with players who are well experienced at this level, and I think that's really helped. It's like Jamie Gollan, for example, is like the perfect example of this. Same with Regan Tumulty. They've just gone about it so wrong,
Yeah.
and yeah, this looks very, very bad for them. And moving on to the final game, it was Raith Rovers against Greenock Morton. Um, Raith were looking to show a return to form after a promising victory and performance over Partick last week. Morton, meanwhile, suffered a pretty heavy defeat against St Johnstone. I was able to watch this one on a stream whilst I was on holiday, so I make good use of my time away. And despite a pretty promising opening period for Morton, I had a couple of chances. I think in the first 15 minutes, he had like 4 corners or something like that. But it would be a cross from Jordan Doherty down the right. Would manage to find Jack Hamilton in the box, who manages to rise above and head it home 1-0 Rafe. And at that point, I'm thinking, perfect. Because as I mentioned in the Partick Thistle one, it's like Partick Thistle was the 5th game of that season, 4th or 5th game of that season, where we'd scored first, and in all of those games, we hadn't conceded. Second half looked like that was very much going to continue. It very much continued in that sort of the way the first half ended, where it was pretty much all brief. And it's like Paul Ensio making his debut, who he came in for Sean Byrne, and I thought he was pretty good, but he's not a Sean Byrne style player, which is like that sort of specific role. But either way, I thought he had a good debut. He took a shot from 25 yards, and it's hit beautifully, and it's flying in. But James Storer manages to pull off a pretty good save, really impressive save when I'd seen it live. And it's like there'd be a couple more chances for Rafe before. Main talking point of this second half, other than what's about to happen at the end. Ball's put into the box. It goes a bit over everybody, but Dylan Easton has turned to go and run after the ball. And he's sort of hugged and brought down to the ground. No penalty. What the fuck? I was fuming at this. And it's like, you look at that, and it's like, we've seen those given. We've seen plenty of those given. It's like, yes, it's off the ball. You still can't just throw someone onto the ground. And it's like, despite seeing that, and despite knowing completely that it's a penalty, I wasn't surprised it wasn't given. Reason being, it was Colin Steven who was the referee. We all know what I think of Colin Steven, and this very much reinforced my opinion that he is a cunt as of a referee. He is the worst thing. It's like the moment I found out that he was a referee, I knew we weren't winning. Even though we did go 1-0 up, and I was like, okay, I think we got this covered. In the back of my mind, it's like, Colin Steven's the ref. Something will happen. He will do something. That was just something, and from that point, the momentum shifted because it went from everyone being pretty calm, everyone's all happy and whatnot. It's just fuming, and it's like got to the last 10 minutes, and watching it, I'm just sat there, basically watching through my fingers because I'm just like, they're gonna score, Morton's gonna score. We're sitting back. 92nd minute, corner comes in. It goes over everyone's heads. But then Chris Moore manages to do like a backheel flick. Not quite a scorpion kick, but that's sort of...
Yeah, I was going to say it's not quite a scorpion kick. Like, he didn't land on his
It's a
belly for it,
baby
but it was that
scorpion
kind of...
kick. It's a baby scorpion kick he does, and it manages to find its way into the back of the net.
Really nice finish, I've got to say, though. Really nice finish.
Yeah, it's very nice, but again, I'm just I was not happy. I was sat. I was watching this on my phone in a pub, and it was just me and the bartender. And the bartender was asking me for updates or whatever. And I'm not joking. Like, this goal came in 30 seconds after someone else finally entered the pub. A family with small children. And like the goal goes in, I just slam the table. I just like slap the table. I'm just like, for fuck's sake! And I look up and I just see them. I just like, sorry. And they just have a wee chuckle. Draw. I'm like, yeah. But it's like, there wasn't much after this aside from a wayward shot. But as I was speaking about Colin Steven, they continue their utterly horrific run for when he's involved in games. According to Transfer Market, Colin Steven has refereed 12 Wraith Rovers games. We have one win. We have one win, 5 draws, and 6 losses. And I think half of those draws felt like losses, at least.
Who was the win against?
Don't know.
Probably Thistle. Probably Thistle that starts talking.
Probably Thistle, knowing your luck. But first of all, your thoughts, was it a penalty?
Yeah, aye, it's got to be. As you said, I think you just hit the nail on the head. You can't throw someone on the deck like that and not. Yeah, like if that was like given, if that was not given for Thistle, if that was like a Thistle game, whatever, and the referee didn't give that, I think the Lambie stand would have fucking imploded. With the amount of like angry reactions to it and whatnot, I think you've got every right to feel despondent and annoyed at why that wasn't given. Again, it feels like we're back on here again talking about how shite referees are, and it's not going away, is it? That's another decision not a blatant decision not given. Or a blatant penalty or whatever not given, and it's shocking.
It's like Aidan goes on every week about like demanding apologies from the SFA. Is he happy now? I hope he's happy now. I hope he's happy now. You know how they say it all balances out. You know, here it is. Here's your balancing out. I hope we've got to the SFA hoping for an explanation about that. And I think it was last week when I mentioned about Neil Lennon's potential ban about like calling out the referees or whatever, and how he said about Oh yeah, he's hoping
Yeah.
that calling for Colin Steven to never referee a Fife referee for them. I'm more than happy to join in on Neil Lennon's crusade. Just please, I never want to see that man referee a Raith Rovers game again. Every single time I find something to get absolutely fuming about. Somehow, I don't know how he does it. Even games not involving Rafe, it's like I swear to God, there's been times where I'm just like, why, why have you done that? Anyway, enough about Rafe and referees and the agendas. Morton, this is very much a needed point considering very much in that bottom, yeah, I'd say bottom four contingent, but they really did not look great in this one from what I'd seen. Um, Even though I did have that gut feeling in that last 10 minutes of them scoring, I was still thinking to myself, and I was fully prepared to put in the chat before the goal happened, that Morton looked like a top end League One side. There's just something about them.
Yeah.
It's like you can see what they're trying to do, and sometimes they pull off passages of play that look championship level, but it's just something about them where like you don't look like you're a championship level team. Again, it's a bit like Ross County, where they're lucky
Yeah.
that you've got a Queen's Park side that are a shambles off the pitch and an Airdrie side that are a shambles on the pitch and off the pitch as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, this very, very meh for Morton. It looks.
Definitely. I think that's I was looking on. I was looking at kind of reactions to the full time on Twitter and that and whatever, and I think that Morton fans, while being kind of delighted with, not delighted, but like they were saying it was a good point on the road for Morton, and it is. It is a good point on the road for Morton, but they need to start picking up wins. I read somewhere that I think they've won. I think they're on 3 wins in 22 games or something like that. Which I think it's 22 league games, and
Yeah, yeah. They
it's
definitely don't want. They've only got one win this season. We know that.
yeah, aye. And they've only got one win, and it was against Airdrie. But aye, it's not good at all. I think they're going to. I think they'll probably be saved in the end up by how bad Queens Park and Airdrie are. But I mean, they are in serious danger of getting dragged right in it. Right back into the bottom. Do you think again, just going by this result, do you think that's Robson back under pressure again?
Yeah, I think not as much as what it was before the Thistle game,
Hmm.
but it's like the barometer. It's like it was very much near the bottom after the Dunfermline game, but after the Thistle game, it's gone right. It went right back up a nice wee bit, and now it's gone just a little bit down again. Not
Yeah,
like halfway, like in a halfway state between post Thistle and pre Thistle.
yeah. Aye, before
Yeah,
Thistle,
it
like
was
been
good the full time, and that's everything.
aye,
Because, like I said, it's like we were all over them until for the second half until that penalty shout, and it's like we had enough chance after it, but then afterwards it just seemed to peter out, and we
yeah,
just sort of invited them in. It was a
hmm,
goal of our own doing, really, but it's like we should have had that game out of sight potentially,
definitely.
especially if the penalty's given. Like if the penalty's
Hmm.
given, then that's it, game's done. But even then, you've still got to keep going. But I think there is
Definitely.
there is a sort of caveat when it comes to injuries. Traffic. Lewis Stevenson came off at half time. Who are we missing? We're missing Vaughan. We're missing um, Richard Chen. We're missing Sean Byrne. It's like we're missing a few first team players. And Callum Fordyce as well. He's actually now going to be out until at least possibly January, and that leaves us with able to play centre back Hanlon and O'Connor as our two main centre backs, and then it's like Doherty can play centre back, but he's much better as a right back or on the wing or in the midfield. Scott Brown can play centre back, but from the season that we did, I think it was last season, where a lot of our issues came from the fact that we were playing Scott Brown as a centre back for like 20 plus games when you can see he is a more attacking type midfielder.
Yeah,
It's just,
definitely.
what? It's like, I do not want to go down that route again, please. But yeah, I believe our next two fixtures are very favourable, though. I think November's
I think
looking
your
pretty good.
Queen's Park away is your next.
We got Queen's Park away, Airdrie at home, and then Arbroath away, Alloa at home. So, very much going to be a case of how the next two games go again, and then with Arbroath, being I think I don't think we'll accept anything less than 6 points for the next two games.
Yeah,
That's the way things are going. Got to win those two. And then Arbroath away is going to be a real test because that's coming in at the end of November and it's a fellow playoff potential side.
yeah,
And considering how we did against them at Starks, where it's like the first half wasn't great, but it's like we were all over them the second half, don't get me wrong, but it's like that first half, if we play that first half at Gayfield, we're not going in at 0-0.
yeah.
You know, so it'll be interesting how that one goes. Morton, meanwhile, yeah, a case of trying to find a first win for them. Um, it's like the next three league games are Arbroath at home, County away, Dunfermline away, and yeah, that's it's not looking good, is it? Is
No,
that Ross County one's massive? That's going to be massive for both teams, actually.
yeah.
It's like they do have a nice run of three games. So after that, with Peterhead away in the cup, and then Queens Park and
Queen's
Airdrie at
Park at
home after
home,
that.
Airdrie at home, yeah.
But I just not not looking promising for them. But that's all the games covered. So we'll go through the table. St Johnstone sitting pretty at the top with 30 points and plus 18 goal difference. Um, Thistle just behind on 27 points, but only plus 8. Arbroath sitting third on 21 points and a zero goal difference, which pretty impressive. Then we have
I
a
were not
trio
third
of
with like they were. I think it was like last month or a couple of weeks ago. They were third with like a minus. Like I think it was like
yeah,
-5 or some goal
the
difference.
minus goal difference.
Yeah,
They've worked it back to zero. And then you've got a trio of clubs on 18 points. Dunfermline, Erlen, Raith Rovers, just separated on goal difference. And then a 6 point gap to Morton in seventh, who are on 12 points. Then Ross County on 11, Queen's Park on 10, and then at the bottom, Airdrie with 7. So, not fun for them. Looking towards this week's fixtures, then we have under the lights on a Friday night, Airdrie at home to Bath Express. So, Kieran, how are you looking to this one?
uh, confident. You could say. I think we're playing two teams bottom of the league. We've just put 5 past the team that's second bottom, so we all know what's happening here. 3-0 Airdrie. But no. Um, I know. Confident. I would say quite confident. But listen, I think with Airdrie, they always kind of seem to play all right against us. Play kind of decent against us. Our record against them is good. But they beat us last season. And like one of their like matches, or one of their great escape matches. To keep them to keep them in the division. But yeah, I think I'll be all right. Just play our football, play the way we did on Saturday, and I don't think we've. nothing really to worry about, nothing too much to worry about. But I suppose anything can happen in this league, so need to see what happens. But other than that, pretty confident.
It's like it does seem like it's going to go that way, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Saturday fixtures: Queens Park at home to Reef Rovers. Can't wait for that one when Queens Park managed to get their inevitable 1-0
Did you
win, and I
manage
had to
to
be
get a ticket in the ballot?
no,
No.
God no.
Are you going to stand in the hill, or are you just going to listen to it or whatever on the?
No, at the moment I'd seen there was 250. No, it was like, what was it? I think it was like 200 tickets were made available. I'm just like, nah, I'm just making alternative arrangements.
Fair
Not
enough.
dealing with that. I'm doing other things, but I'll obviously keep an eye on things. I'll probably find a way to keep up to date with it.
Yeah.
I'm with the way it's been going. I want to be confident of a win, but I said this about Morton last going into the Morton game last week, and I was just, no, apparently not. I'm not allowed to be confident about a win. I mean, we should win this one. We should win this one, and I think the fans won't accept anything less than a comfortable win.
Yeah,
Just how things are
I
going.
genuinely
As
think if
mentioned, Queens Park one goal in their last day.
I think there's a lot of people
And
not giving Robson a lot of time. Like they say that I think they've got next. You've got they've given them like next week and that, but I mean I don't see anything other than a race win. But if Queens Park do manage to beat his race, beat his so if let me ask that again. If Queens Park managed to beat Wraith, Callum, do you think time's up for Robson? Or say get a result?
well, it'd be time up. I think he's very much a case of teetering on the edge at that point. I feel it's a Queens
Yeah.
Park just with how it's all going. Um, but yeah, I'm just hoping for a comfortable win.
Yeah.
um, so your other fixtures: Morton at home to Arbroath. Fuck it, no draw. No, 1-0 draw because Morton will find a way to get a 1-0 draw or something. It's just it's how the season's gone for them. It's how it's
Yeah.
gone for them. Dunfermline, meanwhile, at home to St Johnston. With inconsistency, this can either be like 5-0 St Johnston or 1-0 Dunfermline. This either or. And then, of course, Ross County at home to Ayr. If there's any hope of a Ross County turnaround, I think they've won their last 2 or 3 home games, or at least they're unbeaten in a few home games. I no, they beat us, lost to Arbroath, beat Dunfermline. Um,
Yeah.
but is there any hope of County pulling themselves away from a potential relegation scrap? It's going to be the home form because let's face it,
Definitely.
uh, County away is going to be the most difficult one in the division just due to the travel involved.
Yeah.
So they'll be hoping to use that to their advantage. But that's all for this week's fixtures, and we will see you for the next round. Goodbye.
Catch you after.